Alright, Shalom Israel, peace Israel, Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah, Barak Abanawa, Yahweh Ba'Shem, Mashiach, Yahweh Shai. All praises to the Most High and His beloved Son, and may the Most High through the Spirit of His beloved Son bless you and yours for checking out the video. My name is Ayashima from the Hebrew Israelite Church at the Carolinas, more specifically the Truth or Die Camp. I'm in the Virginia area at the current moment. Just want to hit you with a quick video and a quick lesson. Basically, it's going to be real simple. I'm just going to be bringing out what this guy, Tacitus, or Tacitus, had to say about the state of the Christians at his time, and also the beliefs that they had on our history about where we came from or whatever. Then I'm gonna just hit a couple scriptures and basically clear up where we came from or whatever. And I'll just to give you a background on who this guy is. His name is Publius or Gaius Cornelius Tacitus, and he supposedly lived from AD 56 to AD 117. It says he was a senator and a historian of the Roman Empire. The surviving portions of his two major works, the Annals and the Histories, examined the reigns of the Roman emperors Tiberius, Claudius, Nero, and those who reigned in the year of the four emperors. These two works span the history of the Roman Empire from the death of Augustus in AD 14 to presumably, so they think, the death of Emperor Domitian in AD 96. There are enormous lacunae in the surviving texts, including one 4 books long in the Annals. A lacuna or lacunae or whatever is a gap in the manuscript, inscription text, paint, and musical work or whatever. So it's saying it was a gap in his little books or whatever. It says other works by Tacitus discuss oratory, Germania, and biographical notes about his father-in-law Agricola, primarily during his campaign in Britannia. It says Tacitus was an author writing in the latter part of the Silver Age of Latin literature. His work is distinguished by a boldness and sharpness of wit and a compact and sometimes unconventional use of Latin. All right, so with that being said, that's just a little background on who's saying these things I'm about to read to you, but it's just to give you a better idea of how we were looked at and perceived back in the ancient world or whatever. All right. So, reading from his one of his books, which was written around 110 CE. This is Tacitus on the Jews. All right. It says this: some say that the Jews were fugitives from the island of Crete who settled on the nearest coast of Africa about the time when Saturn was driven from his throne by the power of Jupiter. Evidence of this is sought in the name. There is a famous mountain in Crete called Ida. The neighboring tribe, the Idea, came to be called Judea by a barbarous lengthening of the national name. Others assert that in the reign of Isis, the overflowing population of Egypt, led by Hieronymus and Judas, discharged itself into the neighboring countries. Now, like I said, this is just the discourse to see this. I'm not reading this like it's the truth or whatever. This is just what you know what I'm saying? Basically, it's like a sign of the times of how we was looked at back in those times, just to give you a better picture of the perspective that they had on us or whatever. All right, it says because they were in control at this point. So basically, whatever they said about us was the grand judgment or whatever. That's what everybody else thought about us. It says many again say that they were a race of Ethiopian origin. See, they already trying to tie us in with all Africans already all the way back then, who in the time of King Cepheus were driven by fear and hatred of their neighbors to seek a new dwelling place. Others described them as an Assyrian horde who, not having sufficient territory, took possession of part of Egypt and founded cities of their own in what is called the Hebrew country, lying on the borders of Syria. Now, and it's almost a little bit of truth to all these hypotheses that they're saying about us, because we sojourned in a lot of countries over there in the Middle East back in the time of antiquity. It goes on to say this. Others again assign a very distinguished origin to the Jews, alleging that they were the Ptolemy, a nation celebrated in the poems of Homer, who called the city which they founded Hierosolima after their own name. Most writers, however, agree in stating that once a disease which horribly disfigured the body broke out over Egypt, that King Bocorus, seeking the remedy, consulted the oracle of Hammon and was bidden to cleanse his realm and to convey into some foreign land this race detested by the gods. All right, and you can see how the Egyptians might have had that outlook on us. All right. And oh yeah, just to make that note about Homer and all that, all these little epic stories, Gilgamesh and all that, giant skeletons being found or whatever, you got a lot of evidence even backing up the history behind, Adam to Noah or whatever. All right. All that Atlantis and whatnot, man, I really, you know what I mean? I think Atlantis was just like, the world before the flood or whatever. Reading on, it says this though. It says the people who had been collected after diligent search, finding themselves left in a desert, sat for the most part in a stupor of grief till one of the exiles, Moses by name, warned them not to look for any relief from God or man, forsaken as they were of both, but to trust to themselves, taking for their heaven-sent leader that man who should first help them to be quit of their present misery. They agreed and in utter ignorance began to advance at random. Nothing, however, distressed them so much as the scarcity of water, and they had sunk ready to perish in all directions over the plain, when a herd of wild asses was seen to retire from their pasture to a rock shaded by trees. Moses followed them and, guided by the appearance of a grassy spot, discovered an abundant spring of water. This furnished relief. After a continuous journey for 6 days, on the 7th day, they possessed themselves of a country from which they expelled the inhabitants, and in which they founded a city and a temple. All right. It's just kind of funny reading a different point of view on us. It says Moses, wishing to secure for the future his authority over the nation, gave them a novel form of worship opposed to all that is practiced by other men. Things sacred with us, with them have no sanctity, while they allow what with us is forbidden, because we total polar opposites to the Romans, them Edomites, them Europeans. It says, in their holy place, they have consecrated an image of the animal by whose guidance they found deliverance from their long and thirsty wanderings. They slay the ram, seemingly in derision of Hammon, and they sacrifice the ox because the Egyptians worship it at Apis. They abstain from swine's flesh in consideration of what they suffered when they were infected by the leprosy to which this animal is liable. It says, by their frequent fasts, they still bear witness to the long hunger of former days, and the Jewish bread made without leaven is retained as a memorial of their hurried seizure of corn. And like the 10 tribes, the Mexicans and Latinos or whatever, they into those corn tortillas today. All right. Just a quick note. It says, we are told that the rest of the 7th day was adopted because this day brought with it a termination of their tools. After a while, the charm of indolence beguiled them into giving up the 7th year also to inaction. All right. It says, this worship, I guess they're trying to say that's like an act of laziness or something. I'm not really sure how these Edomites trying to come at us. It says this worship, however introduced, is upheld by its antiquity. All right, see that? Because our religion and our rituals, they go back.